look for the zombie fish.
Welcome to Rotten Book Review. My name is Jamie, and I'm going to be reviewing Clive Barker's The Hellbound Heart. I actually read this one on my Kindle Paperwhite. I couldn't find it in print anywhere, so I guess it's still pretty darn popular. Published in November of 1986, this novella unleashed the Cenobites for the very first time, and it also spawned the Hellraiser films. Now, similar to The Exorcist, because I'd seen the film before I'd read the book, I was imagining the actors and actresses' voices that were in the film when I was reading the dialogue of the book. It didn't ruin things, but it made for an interesting interplay between the original source material and the adaptation. Keeping things very simple, we are introduced to Frank Cotton, who's a hedonist with a taste for, shall we say, the darker things in life. He gets his hand on a unique puzzle box known as Lamarchian's Configuration and ends up getting a bit more than he bargained for when it comes to both pleasure and pain. Estranged brother Rory and his wife Julia enter a new house. Everything appears to be tickety-boo, but Rory has a bit of an accident during a spot of DIY, and then things start getting rather weird and bloody. Now, the writing in this book is absolutely superb. Barker's prose, not just for the horror genre, but any genre, really is superlative. Sometimes the paragraphs have been so well pruned that it's almost like you're sampling delicious food. And in the really visceral moments, it's like you're just having delicious lamb cutlets served very raw. And it's not just in the visceral moments where Barker shines. When it comes to just describing the change of the seasons, which all writers love doing to try and flex their literary prowess, he effortlessly talks about how the seasons seem to just tire of each other. It only lasts a couple of little paragraphs. And yet the way he describes it, so succinct, so poignant, you almost feel that there's some sort of Barker philosophy underneath it all. Barker did also write and direct the first Hellraiser film that came out a year after The Hellbound Heart. So scene for scene, they're very similar. But one scene where I thought the film did trump the book was during the famous "I'll tear your soul apart" scene. There were some similar lines in the novella, but on screen, I just felt it was a bit punchier. Without wanting to spoil anything, the Cenobites are portrayed differently in the novella than they are in the film. Sometimes I felt I didn't feel their presence quite as enough as seeing them on screen, but I certainly still felt the threat of them. Now, just the puzzle box or the concept of the Cenobites makes for a great book or film regardless. But the real genius here is the lust aspect, the desire, the corruption, the sexuality that just injected a whole different kind of poison into the horror genre. Having published his novel It in the same year, apparently Stephen King was growing a little weary of the horror genre. Clive Barker, with his great energy and ideas, may have been one of the primary reasons. Pleasure and pain indivisible, this story is a classic. No, it's not very long, but the ideas that it forwards, the characters it creates, and just the sheer quality of the writing, really, this deserves to be reread and savoured. If I'm going to nitpick a little bit, I actually thought the first half was stronger than the second, with maybe the first chapter being the very best. But The Hellbound Heart speaks about something in us that does exist, which is, if Lamarchian's Configuration did exist, there'd be more than a few people trying to open it. I'm going to have to give The Hellbound Heart a very solid 4.5-ish out of 5.